It's time for a little comedy, a little content, and a lot of conversation. It's the Geno Jones Show, exclusively right here on YouTube. Now here's your host, Geno Jones.
Hey, what's happening, everybody? Showtime, Geno Jones, showtime. Bam! Monday through Friday, 7:30. Yeah, coming soon. We got a new start time coming, 7 o'clock. But right now, we're still coming on 7:30 Eastern time. So dinner hour with me. It's Dinner with Geno and guests. The Geno Jones Show, 7:30 Eastern time. Chicago, stand up, everybody, on Central Time, 6:30. Live in Los Angeles, Las Vegas. Everybody on the West Coast, Portland, Oregon, Seattle, you know what time it is, 4:30 in the afternoon. All right, everybody, from the very beginning of the show, I need you to do something for me right now. Click on that thumbs up button, share, and subscribe. Yes, share. That means click that share button. Share it on every platform that you know and don't know. I don't give a damn. Share it with everybody. Share. Copy and paste the link. Copy and paste the link. You can copy and paste that link. Bam, on your forehead, on your butt cheeks, on your belly button, on your eyelids, wherever you want to do it. So, share. That means copy and paste and click the share button. And click on the subscribe button to the Geno Jones Show YouTube channel. All right, listen, my guest, returning guest, you'll see a lot of him between now and the real election day is actually 70 days away here in South Carolina, October 19th. October 19th is the first day of early voting. That is really election day. Now, election day ends on November 3rd. See, that's what the colonizers, that's what the government, that's what this regime is telling you, because they want you to vote, wait till the last minute, because they're going to play all kind of games. We're going to talk about that, but they're going to play all kind of games. All of a sudden, your polling place is going to be moved around, or it's a bomb threat, or who knows, whatever. ICE is trying to harass folks, which is illegal. It's a federal law. No one is to be harassed. But we'll talk about that. My guest, Brandon Upson, worked with the Obama campaign politically. He's just a political whiz, just a brilliant brother. Excited to have him back on the show. So, Leo, shout out to my Leos, the Lions. Leo, stand up. All right. If you're one of those lions, roar, roaring. I see you, Leo. Happy birthday, Michael Bivins. New edition and Belle Biv DeVoe, BBD, do me, baby, why? That's a bad Ricky Bell, but it's okay. It's all good. Michael Bivins, my man, 58 today. Happy birthday. Aaron Hall from Guy, 62 and still got a little bit to do. You wrong, Geno. All right, I got to tell you a funny story. I know. Look, I'm not making fun of folks, but listen, because Aaron Hall talks cash shit. And, he anybody know Aaron talk a lot of shit, though. He claimed to be the ladies' man, Mr. Super Endowed. This is not me. This is him. Look, I'm sure if you follow Aaron Hall on social media, you saw him bragging about his prowess, love-making prowess, which is kind of funny because, sometimes thou protest too hard and too loud. Sometimes when folks push something too hard, you're like, okay, dude, you really trying to compensate, but whatever. Anyway, so quick funny story. This is way back, late 80s, early 90s when Guy first came out. So it was a radio convention. Jack the Rapper. As a matter of fact, they stopped doing that around early 90s in Atlanta. So it was this Sunday morning, because everybody, Saturday night, they had the big events and everything. So I'm sitting there with some buddies of mine from Chicago and Milwaukee. It was a Chi-town, but then my man, Milwaukee's only 90 miles north of Chicago. So shout out to Harrison Kerr. Shout out to Walt, my man, Walt Love. So I don't know if they were with me, but somebody was, we were having breakfast. And I hear these people behind me. I don't know who's behind me because I'm eating breakfast. But I hear a voice, and it sounds familiar, but it's like this severe, it's like a car that was trying to, if you got a bad starter in your car, and you and it was going, but he was talking cash, And then I heard Teddy Riley's voice. And I'm like, who is he? So he was talking like cash shit to Teddy Riley. I'm like, man, because he was like clowning Teddy. I was like, really? Who was this? And then I kind of looked over, and it was Aaron Hall. I was like, Aaron Hall stutters. Like, now it was then, it was like bad, but it didn't slow him down because he was like trying to signify and clown Teddy Riley. And then Teddy kind of went back. After a while, I guess Teddy got tired and went back at him, was clowning him like, okay, well, when you can finish the sentence and holler at me, I'm paraphrasing. That was, they were just going back and forth, just doing the dozens thing. But Aaron Hall of Guy 62 Today, Jacob Lattimore, R&B singer, and if you were a fan of The Chi, their last season, their last episode was a couple of weeks ago, so it's over. It's done. It's a wrap. Jacob Lattimore from The Chi is 30 today. At least it ended on a happy note. His character, so Jacob Lattimore's character, his second baby mama, it was a whole bunch of stuff. So anyway, they got married. It was a beautiful wedding, happy ever after. So Emmett, I think that's Emmett and his new baby mama. And then, he had his first son by his first baby mama, who had his current wife. Was it her boyfriend? Anyway, I digress. So shout out to Jacob Lattimore. And if you're an old school fan of Patty Austin, remember the song called Baby Come to Me? It was back in the mid-'70s. Baby, come to me. She did a duet with James Ingram, at least one, if not two. She was on his iconic Quincy Jones album called The Dude that came out like around 78. Patty Austin, and she is funny. Patty Austin, not trying to be a comedian, but she is just, she got a lot of energy, and she is funny, hilarious. Patty Austin, 76 today. Speaking of today, 70 days until Election Day here in South Carolina. Now, I know they've got like a special election for the cult tomorrow to decide who is going to be the Republican candidate, or who is going to run who's going to run to serve the full term of the late Senator Lindsey Graham. So his sister Darlene is one that they got to ask the folks. They got like everybody and their mama running, everybody but Aaron Hall and Michael Bivins running to represent the MAGA cult for the U.S. Senate. Oh, by the way, the show is interactive, everybody. So everybody watching, if you got a question or comment you want me to shout you out, you see where it says live chat. Let me click this button as I look in the camera. Hey, everybody, live. There you go. So you'll see live chat, everybody. So click on that, and you can ask a question. You can join the conversation. So 70 days until Election Day here in South Carolina. So early voting begins October 19th, and it ends on November 3rd, which is 85 days. But we ain't, folks, it's 85. No. I sound like Luther. No. Not in South Carolina. And whatever state you live in, Election Day is the first day of early voting because these folks are going to play games, all kind of. It happened in 2024. Polling places. I remember in Georgia and around Atlanta, especially where us black folk go. Bomb threat, polling place. Changed last minute, just that morning, all of a sudden, polling places that people have been voting at for 20 years, all of a sudden, they close it. You got to drive about an hour away. It's going to be chicanery, skullduggery. It's going to be all kind of bullshit. So what we want to do, we have to put the fear of God in these folks, because there's no telling now, with this quote-unquote new attorney general who was voted in by these punk-ass senators, Todd Blanche, who said himself in front of Congress, I'm the president's lawyer. Oh, I'm the president. No. The attorney general, you are the lawyer. You are America's lawyer. You really are the people's lawyer. The Department of Justice represents the people of the United States of America. It does not represent the president. As a matter of fact, the office of the president has something called the Office of Legal Counsel, which is a team of lawyers. They don't even represent the person, the president. They represent the office. I digress. As a matter of fact, no better person to bring on to talk about that because I don't want to take up too. I want to give him all the time. Perfect. Thank you, Brandon. That full screen right there. I love it. So this brother, he's worked with and in the Obama administration. He is just a brilliant, very influential here in South Carolina. What I guess you could call him political. I'm not screwing up the title because the brother does so much. He's a wealth of knowledge, and he's an incredible resource. I know he is working with. You've got a slate of candidates from Dr. Jermaine Johnson on down, running to be off to get to be our next governor, and then everything Secretary of State, a slate of candidates running for state offices here in South Carolina, because what people don't understand as important as the federal offices and the U.S. House of Representatives and the United States Congress and all that, really, we got to start locally. We got to start state houses. We got to start in city halls and county offices and everything. So without any further delay, let me bring on my man, Mr. Brandon Upson. Brother Brandon, welcome back, my man. I'm always excited.
Thanks for having me.
Man, listen, if the show had a budget, I'm working on that. Y'all maybe can help me with that. Because if I had a budget, you would be a paid contributor because I'd have you on every week, man.
Man.
I love the vibe and the energy. The vibe and the energy. So listen, there's so much I want to talk about. I want us to talk about. I think I kind of set it up. So, of course, there's the cult primary to decide who is going to run to take to serve the entire six-year term for the MAGA cult in the U.S. Senate. But I don't want to focus on them. I want to focus on 70 days. Today's 70 days until October 19th.
Yeah.
Now, I know a lot of folks, that's why shows like mine and platforms and black-owned media and independent media is so important, because your corporate media and your CNNs and CBS has been totally MAGA, along with Fox, which
CBS.
is Trump TV, and then you've got the bootleg versions of that with Newsmax, News Nation, One America Network. But now, it's like CBS is ruined. I mean, they ruined it. It's like Barry Weiss, this heifer, that's a whole nother story. So it's important that I want to make sure that my viewers and anyone that views this show understands the importance, because it's going to be a lot of chicanery, because Orange Hitler already realizes that, he said a long time ago he wasn't worried about the midterms, and if you voted in 24, you wouldn't have to vote again. And now he's kind of tapping out with Iran and a whole lot of things. But what we got to focus on is what we have power and what we can do. And we have a lot of power. So October 19th, that is the real election day. We have to show up. And you got to make a statement. And we did that, Brandon, in the primaries. That first day, we showed up with record numbers. And we got to do that with even more numbers. So with that, I give you the floor, brother, and I will let you take the ball and go from there.
Man, well, first off, thank you for calling a spade a spade. We can't call these folks Republicans because they don't look nothing like the Republican Party anymore. They are literally a brand new organization. And there's nothing conservative about them. They are a radical, indoctrinated cult that serves the needs and the will of one man, and that is Donald Trump. Forget what they tout about when it comes to God, when it comes to the Bible, when it comes to morals, when it comes to patriotism, when it comes to our finances and everything else that is the platform of a conservative party that used to be the Republican Party. It is out of the window, and it's very unfortunate because back in the days we had Republicans that would and could work with Democrats to get things done. Folks talk about the good old days when there was coalitions across the aisle, and they would come together because they all cared about a couple of things: making sure the future is better for our children, and making sure dollars went into their districts. And they all work together on that. Now, these folks will burn the forest down just to make sure you don't get one twig off of a tree that could potentially make Donald Trump upset with them.
That's true.
That
Now,
that
that's well. Listen, I finished that thought. I want to pause you because
Yep.
I want to not push back, but I want to offer a perspective and I want to get your take because I know you were inside. You were on the inside during this time in this era. So, but
Yep.
no, just finish that last point you were going to make. But
No, no. And the transition that we're seeing is playing out now, but it is also why we're seeing the types of turnout that we're seeing today. Now, since the last time I spoke to you, our candidates in South Carolina are showing that they are making amazing ground in this election. We have two congressional districts that have done polling, and the polling numbers show that the people, specifically the working people of South Carolina, are fed up with politics as it is. They're fed up with the politics of Donald Trump, with the politics of division, with the politics of hate, with the politics of authoritarianism. They are ready for something different, and they're ready for to get their government back. In the first congressional district down in the Charleston area, Low Country, with Nancy LaCour, they
mhm.
did a poll. That district there is a Republican plus 10 district. So what does that mean? You take an average Republican against an average Democrat, and that average Republican is going to win by 10 percentage points. That we've seen that over and over again in a
Now,
lot of
even
these
though to
areas.
that point, though, Brandon, I think it's important for the viewers because folks who may be living in that district
Hmm.
or who used to live in a district like I did, it wasn't always, those numbers weren't always like that because you
No.
actually had when I first came in 2005, you had it, and what I guess that was 2008, that was when President Obama was elected. Joe
Yep.
Cunningham, but they
Yep.
they went in and rigged and rejiggered. They called it uh, redistricting, which is just
Right. Gentrif-
we gonna draw the lines differently because
yep.
too many black folks are showing up. I'm just calling a spade a
Gerrymandering.
spade.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's a fancy term they say, but it just gerrymander is a fancy way of saying you too many of you Negroes are voting, so we got to change the rules. We got to literally draw like
Mhm.
they used to redline
Yes.
insurance, redline zip codes to
Yep.
ban African
And
Americans from
communities.
getting insurance, home loans, car loans. I don't want to get distracted. I just want to stay on that point. But I just wanted to. I thought it was important to point out that that district that's plus 10 now wasn't plus 10 even 20 years ago.
No, not even 6 years ago. In 2022, we flipped that district with Joe Cunningham. So it's just that recent. And then the district was redistricted. We had entire communities redlined out of this congressional district, right? And that's how the Republicans got it back. And they expect to keep it because they did such an amazing job at cutting communities out of this district to make it safe for themselves. And the latest polls had Nancy LaCour within 2 points of her Republican opponent in that race. Then we go over to the other side of the state, still in the low country, but in the PD region. This is where you have Myrtle Beach, Georgetown, Florence, Dillon, Marion, all those areas. This is a Republican plus 12 district. That means, again, an average Republican against an average Democrat. The Republican wins by 12 points. We have a former Navy man over there. He was a command master, not master, sergeant, but master petty officer in the Navy. He served on submarines, was the youngest master chief petty officer in the Navy at the time. He's running for Congress as a Democrat. That R plus 12 uh, latest poll just last week released, he brought that down to a R plus 4. And then once they put their bios compared to each other, his bio versus Russell Fry's bio. Then John Vincent, the Democrat, actually goes up and it makes it a Democrat +2.
Wow.
So that, and these are some of the reddest districts in our state. And it's showing that the Democrats are not just gaining ground, but they are pulling away from their Republican challengers. Why does any of this mean anything? You look at the election results that happened in New York with Zohran Mamdani a couple months ago. And even I was one of those folks that said, okay, Zohran, that's New York. It happened in New York. It could never happen in South Carolina. And then we have the election results that we just saw in Michigan and in the Rust Belt of our country, and in Virginia, and we have progressive candidates winning in races that they were not supposed to win, and we got Democrats that won their primary and are coming out of the primaries in races that they weren't supposed to be competitive in, and it is competitive. And then we look at next door on both sides in North Carolina and Georgia, and those are, leaning Democratic seats. And then we look here in what they call Ruby Red, South Carolina. And up and down the coast and the borders of our state, we are making amazing ground. That tells me one thing: the people are ready for something different, and they're showing it left and right. That's why that polling numbers are shifting.
I,
Go ahead.
no, finish your thought.
Oh, no, no. So when we have 124 candidates running for the state house, we got candidates challenging every last congressional district, all 7 of them. We have candidates challenging every constitutional office, all 8 of them. For the very first time in a long time, over 2 generations, Democrats are challenging 100% of the offices that are on the ballot this year. And what is that doing? It's building momentum. We have inspiring candidates. Just saw Jermaine Johnson just light up a room the other day when we had almost 200 volunteers come out to our volunteer training. Uh-oh.
No, you good. Yeah.
Okay,
No, you're
okay.
good.
We had almost 200 volunteers show up to our volunteer training to go out and canvass. They talked to almost 1,000 voters in one day, in 1 hour.
Wow. That's a lot
Yeah.
of door knocking.
So
Wow.
it's a lot of door knocking, but that's the type of work that has to happen.
Yeah.
And when you get candidates going to get their coffee in the morning and people stand up and start clapping, you got folks showing up at a church service and the pastor has to stop because the congregation is going crazy. When you got candidates that are literally going out and knocking on doors and talking to people who have not voted within the last 3 election cycles, and these folks know their name. And you got folks like in my family, my little brother who has done time and now come home, and he wants to go and get registered to vote so he can vote for that guy named Jason Belton and Jermaine Johnson because he heard about them before he got back home. That lets you know that our messages are reaching the people that need to hear it, and it's inspiring folks. And this is something that I have not seen since President Obama was on the ballot. The energy that we're seeing is completely unmatched, and I believe we're even more organized today than President Obama had us organized in 2008 and 2012. That's why it's completely possible that South Carolina, will go blue in this election cycle.
Well, I want to talk about that energy and those numbers, but I just want to go back briefly, and I'm not going to
Yeah.
spend a lot of time on it, but I do want to get your perspective because, like I said, I know you worked with the Obama campaign during this time, because you were talking about there was a time to where there were some Republicans who would work across the aisle.
Mhm.
So this is my take, Brandon. Um, I stand 10 toes down with this cult that we see now
Mhm.
was well, if I'm gonna be honest, it was birth after the end of really it was probably birth after the end of the Civil War. Once African Americans got their freedom, it was birth, and it never died. Because one thing I learned when I came south and came to South Carolina, I've had people say, well, for these folks that stand on the racism and the white nationalism and the Confederate flag, the Civil War never ended for them. and I laugh, but now I see what they meant. But what I wanted to say, especially after President Obama's first election, literally from the night when Mitch McConnell, when he wasn't glitching out, him and a bunch of senators met at a restaurant not even a mile from the inauguration and decided that there was nothing. I mean, Obama could have walked on water and cured cancer and gave everybody $1 million. They were not going to do anything to give him any legislative wins. So the point I wanted to make is that the seeds were really germinated and watered. This MAGA cult was really a backlash to President Obama. For as far as I'm concerned, the Tea Party, which was like that was MAGA in its like little top infant stage, and then when it became a teenager and hit puberty, started acting out, it became MAGA. But that to me, that whole backlash, and there was, well, it's all about no, it wasn't economics. It was just folks. It was racism. People, for whatever reason, just couldn't imagine a black person, a black man, brilliant
Right.
brother, just and listen, you and I grew up in America. It is what it is. But the point I wanted to make was that what I see now there was a milder version. It was like I saw it building up. Now,
Yeah. Yeah.
if I just want to get your take, your perspective. You don't have to agree or disagree, but for me, as a non-political, you are a political professional. I'm not. I'm just on the outside, average citizen, even though you work in the media, entertainer. But I've been paying attention, and I was like, because they did everything. I mean, and I'm not litigating this. I'm not gonna spend a lot of time because I want to talk about today. But I just said, wait a minute. So he bailed out the banks. So y'all should really be happy. Homeowners didn't necessarily get bailed out because unfortunately, the market went down with all those adjustable arm loans. Saved the auto industry. Saved the overall economy. Got folks health care that had never had health care. But and I can go on. So I'm not. Look, he got a great record. I'm not defending his record. It's not about that. It's just that I guess the point I wanted to make was, yeah, you had a handful of Republicans that did work with Democrats, but even with the vote for the Affordable Care Act, I don't even think he got one Republican senator to support that.
And not a senator, right?
Yeah, and like I said, all of a sudden, like not even 2 years. When did they start that Tea Party? What, 90 minutes after he got inaugurated? It just seemed like it flared up. So I just, when I hear that, but please give me your perspective. But it's like, it was a time where you could work across the aisle, quote unquote, these labels which really need to be thrown out, especially now, really need to be thrown out.
Yeah.
But we are so far from that, and at the same time, the Republicans that didn't work across the aisle, that they really, like I said, they watered the seeds for this cult and this just level of inhumanity that we see now.
Yeah. And I would take it even further back. In my purview, it went back to that span between Jesse Jackson's 84 race to his 88 race.
Yes.
And when he had white farmers in Iowa showing up to support him, and they were showing up with brown paper bags over their heads because they were afraid for their identities to come out because of the backlash that they would get from their community, but also the backlash that they would get from the government because they were relying so heavily on government subsidies. They didn't want the government to attack them. That That period of time, that's the boogeyman period with Lee Atwater, who was coming up with the Horton ad where
Yeah,
it showed
Willie Horton. Yeah,
Willie Horton,
with Dukakis. Yeah, well, that was Eddie. That was that was the
that
second
was
time
that was
Jesse Reverend Jackson ran in '88. You're right.
yep,
And
yep,
Dukakis became the
88
nominee, but Jesse
and
won. Then he won
Godspeed.
3 states. He won. I know he won
He
South
he won
Carolina.
South Carolina.
It
He
was
won three
probably Illinois
states.
because that's where he was from. I could imagine Illinois,
Yeah.
but I know he won three.
Oh, Michigan was the other one.
Okay, yeah.
He won Michigan. Yep. And that's where they thought, he won Michigan. He should have won, but he had a lot of other things going on. But that Lee Atwater started shifting the paradigm and the conversation and how we talk to one another and what's fair. At that point in time, it was still a gentleman, supposed to be quote unquote gentleman's sport, where you left family out, you left medical history out, you left all these other things, and he was going after everything that was taboo and making it mainstream in how you campaign nationwide. Then he passed the torch over to Newt Gingrich,
Yes, very
who
good.
again comes, he takes a torch from we got to stop Jesse Jackson to now Jesse Jackson has a prominent place in the not Obama, but in the Clinton White House, pushing for policy, pushing for investment in our communities, pushing to change how the function of government operated, got more African Americans in positions of vendorships, consulting, what we call it, the lobbyists, first black major lobbying firms, created millionaires. And again, they were afraid of Jesse Jackson and Clinton's propensity to lean on Jesse Jackson. So by the time Newt passed the torch over to Glenn McConnell, you know, now their biggest and wildest
or was
fear,
it Glenn or Mitch? You mean Mitch? You talking about
Mitch
in the Senate?
McConnell, yeah,
Yeah,
Mitch,
Mitch.
Mitch, I'm sorry,
That's
to
okay.
Mitch McConnell, then their greatest fears came to life because what they were fighting against in 88 came true in 2008
Yeah, yes, it
with the
did.
election of President Obama. And they said, we knew this day would come, and now we got to stop them. But what's happened since Glenn McConnell has Mitch McConnell has passed the torch over to Mike Johnson.
Oh
And
God.
Mike Johnson is willing to do whatever it takes to stay in proximity of power, to stay in Trump's good graces. He's willing to do it no matter what. You see this already when they pass that quote unquote big beautiful bill, which hurts his district directly, where there's a large group of folks that are going to be kicked off of their insurance and health care. He's willing to pass the SAVE Act, which would impact almost 11 million Americans and stop them from being able, make it harder for them to vote. He's willing to go all the way to the line. And when we think about what was going on before Jesse Jackson entered the race, people didn't think that someone that looked like you and I would ever be able to become president of the United States. So it was always something tucked in the back of their brain. And they thought they could stop it until Obama came here. And that just threw all the rules out the window. And now, today, we're in this pendulum swing where they've gone so far to the right, so far off the cliff, that the people themselves are saying, hold up, this is bananas, this is crazy. Where can we find some common ground? And just fortunate for us, there are more of us, people with common sense, there are of them, and we're showing up at the polls. Last thing I'll say, We saw it in our primary election when over 370,000 of us went out to vote early, voted in that election. We're seeing it now when now Jermaine Johnson has over 2,000 people signed up to volunteer on his campaign. Jason Belton is getting close to 1,000. Sylvia Wright, close to 1,000. These are not overlapping people signing up for everybody's campaign. We're talking about thousands of South Carolinians signing up to help these candidates win their statewide races. And I'm not even counting what's happening at the ground level with our state house candidates who are running in every district across the state. So, I think the people's will be done in this election. And, the tardy bell rings at 7 a.m. On November 3rd. If you're showing up to vote on
I like
November
that. The
3rd,
tardy bell rings. I'm gonna use that. I like that.
you're
Yes.
already late. You're already late. Because like you said, our election day is October 19th. We're 70 days away. So in 70 days, we got to show up. And the numbers I want to talk about tonight is the difference between winning and losing. If we keep doing what we've always done, meaning only 50% of us go out and vote in the midterm election, we're going to lose. We got to turn out like Obama is on the ballot. Every time Obama was on the ballot, we turned out at 70+%. And I had to look this up for you,
So
brother
here in
Geno.
South Carolina,
In South Carolina,
the African
we
American
turned out,
turnout was 70%. Was it both in 08 or 12?
yeah, both years. So
Wow.
it was, yeah. And even total turnout jumped up to 76%.
So that was
in the
70%. So let me make sure we understand, because I put this 80 guarantee. I said if 80% of all the registered black voters in South Carolina, all right, everybody that's
oh,
registered to vote. So I hadn't even talked about the folks that we need to push to register, like new voters, voters who are
mhm.
eligible but haven't registered to vote. If just the
Yeah.
folks that's already that's got that little card,
Just
got that little
yep.
card with South Carolina on it, with your probably with your picture on it, like I got. If 80% of all the black voters, registered black voters in South Carolina, show up,
Whew.
and 80% of those, I mean, in 2024, 92% of black women and 80% of black men voted for humanity over hate. So I'm sure the numbers in South Carolina were similar. So Brandon is
Yeah.
just reinforcing that point. If at least now he's saying 70, I really want
Mhm.
100. So I'm saying we need we can do we need 100, but that means hopefully at least if we don't hit 100, 80. If 80%,
Man.
it would almost be impossible if 80% of the registered black voters showed up and voted in the patterns that they voted in 08,
Mhm.
12, or even
Mhm.
24. And it
Yeah.
wouldn't even matter what happens on the MAGA side. Am I right or
No,
wrong?
you're absolutely correct. It, brother, if we get 80% black turnout in the state of South Carolina, the let me just put it where the goats can get it.
I love it.
If we get 80%, that means that we restore funding for our schools. We restore funding for minority-owned businesses. We restore women's rights and women's access to freedom. We restore the true telling of our history in our schools and our textbooks. We restore the things that made doing business in South Carolina equitable. We restore our access to opportunity. Like, it is night and day when we talk about ABC vouchers that allow working families to have access to childcare so they can go out and make a living for their family. When we talk about the EBT vouchers that allow working families and struggling families be able to meet that gap so they can keep the lights on and keep their children fed at the same time. That senior care where you got someone uh like Miss Maybell, I talked about her before, who's in her late 80s and she's only getting less than $40 a month in her EBT voucher, and they just cut that more than half. And now she's relying on neighbors and family to bring her food because she's almost 90 years old. There's no way she's going to be able to re-enter the workforce to feed herself. When we talk about an 80% turnout in black voting in South Carolina, that's a restoration of humanity and where government works for the people and the people don't suffer because of the government. That is a complete change in the paradigm shift in our state. And an 80% turnout, brother, you'll see me running through the streets.
So, and just to add on to your point, which is so important, which is why you pointed out, listen, we've done this. So we did it in '08, we did it in 12. As a matter of fact, I don't know. I'm sure you have the numbers. If not, if you don't have the exact numbers, I'm sure you've got them all in your head, approximately what they were. What was the percentage of registered black voters that showed up in May for the primary that gave
Oh,
Brother Jermaine Johnson those incredible numbers and that
yep.
huge victory in the primary?
Yeah, on the Democratic side, it was 59.9% of the vote was African American. And think about this, we only make up, so they report 27% of the total population, but we made up almost 60% of the
Of
total
all the
of the,
voters. But now,
yeah,
here's the big one. Out of that 60%, so 60% of all the voters that showed up in the primary Democrat Republican, quote unquote, were African American. But out of those 60% of the entire voter makeup that was black, what was the voter turnout for those black folks? Like out of all the registered black folks that could have voted in May,
oh
what was
yeah,
that turnout number?
just under 25%.
What?
Yep,
Oh my God.
just under 25. Think about that.
Come on,
And,
y'all.
and here's the thing, when the watermark is where it is, people celebrate because the watermark is so low traditionally.
God.
It was a historic turnout, right? It created a
25%.
historic slate, and that made up 50% of what they expect to turn out in November. If we just do what we've always done, we're going to get what we've always got. And we may have made history and showed up at 25% in the primary. If we mess around and show up at 51% like we've been doing in
Mm.
these midterm elections, they're gonna they're gonna they're gonna run the dog on us.
Okay,
you know?
that's why I wanted to have this conversation. Thank you, Brandon. So listen, guys, and I want to throw this in here because this is on the ballot because um, I don't want us to show up like we showed up for President Obama. I want us to show up for ourselves. I want us to show
Yes.
up for Miss Maybell. We all got a Miss Maybell, a grandmother or a grandfather or a mom, elderly mom or dad, or maybe somebody that's not elderly, but maybe health challenges is on, Medicaid along with Social Security, Medicare. So I want us to focus on something that I don't think that we have collectively focused on enough, Brandon, and that's the Supreme Court. So that leads us to the senatorial race, which is huge. With
Yep.
of course with Dr. Annie Andrews, I saw her on TV over the
Hmm.
weekend. I, I
Yep.
I want to stress, and you can speak on this and give us even more an inside perspective. But listen, guys, the reason that Orange Hitler feels that he can do whatever the hell he wants to do because in essence, the Supreme Court, this MAGA court, told him that when it comes to things related to the office of the presidency, he's got like total immunity. Which you mean they said just do what the hell you want to do. That Supreme Court that has criminalized a teenager or a child or a family. If you've got a 10-year-old daughter or niece that's raped, they want to criminalize her for terminating the pregnancy, but the rapist, oh well. So there's so many. ICE, the Supreme Court has given ICE a green light to terrorize folks. And don't get it twisted, because you see some brown folks in Texas. So remember, ICE shot and killed 2 white people in Minnesota, in Minneapolis, in broad daylight. Now, temporary protective status for Haitians has been taken away. They got Haitians that have done all the right things, went to court, everything, walking around with ankle bracelets on. So, and I said this last week, Brandon, what does a Haitian look like? A Haitian looks like me, like you. So don't get it twisted. Don't think that this neo-Nazi force disguised as ICE. I said it. Don't think they won't come for all of us. And listen, they shot and killed a white man and a white woman. So what do you think they think about it? They don't give a hit. They don't know what a Haitian looks like. They don't give a damn. And who gave them that power? The Supreme Court. So I'm doing everything I can to try to not just educate, but listen, guys, you got to understand how important one of the biggest reasons we are in this situation we're in now is because of this Supreme Court. So it's so important that we show up for every election, from the bottom, from dog catcher and city council and school board, all the way to the state house offices, state reps, state senators, U.S. House of Representatives, and the presidency. But I'll let you speak on that. But because I'm trying to, and it just ties into what you said. Now, yes, we were excited but a record, what does that say? A record turnout that only 25% of the eligible black voters showed up. But it says something about the cult, because even less of them showed up. But I'm not concerned about folks that's leaning into hate. I'm concerned about folks that's leaning into humanity. And we have to show up for ourselves. So speak to that, Brandon, and how do we, this is almost like a 2-part thing. What prescription, what would you tell the viewers? How do we fix that? I'm trying not to, I'm trying to keep it simple and keep it where the ghost can get it. I mean, the 25% is excellent, because I've been beating this drum for almost 6 years. But I'm going to keep beating it. But these numbers are important, and thank you for sharing those numbers. But
yes, sir.
When you show up in numbers like Brandon said, if we show up, if only 50% of the registered black voters show up, then you won't get these incredible candidates, and then you'll give this cult even more power to just engage in more inhumanity and in violence and people losing now you got so many people, elderly people, SNAP benefits reduced to $24 a month, $12.50 a month. I've heard stories like that, and you were just speaking to that. So what is the plan? What are you seeing? I know you are adjacent to a lot of these campaigns, and what can the viewers do? What can we all do to create a sense of urgency and to understand we are literally talking about fight? We are fighting it so we can fight at the ballot box. Yeah. Because there's only one other option, and nobody wants that. But some people want it because violence and fear sells, and it makes people who are very wealthy and who've made billions and trillions off of fear and violence and ignorance, they'll make them even richer. But just speak to that, man. What is, what do you see? What are the campaigns doing? And more important, what can we do and push them?
Yeah. So there's a couple things. When you were talking about folks being excited about that 25% turnout, it reminded me of my cousin Tito. I talk about my family all the time, so they already know. My cousin Tito that boy missed almost 2 months of school and almost went to truancy, has parents go to truancy court. And he was so excited one Friday. He had got this balloon and a cupcake and a bunch of stuff. And I was like, "What is your birthday?" No, it's not your birthday. He's like, "No, my teacher, gave me all this. She said if I came to school for a solid week, I'll, I'll get a celebration." Well, that's like us being absent for 60 days of school and show up for a week, and now we're being celebrated.
Yeah.
That doesn't change what was allowed to happen over that 60-day span of time.
Yeah.
We have to show up at such a amazing rate that it outdoes everything that's happened behind us. 70%, 80% turnout changes the balance of power across this state in a way that allows us to wipe this slate clean policy wise. Let me tell you, and I wanted to go into what you were talking about, what people can do,
Thank you.
but we got 124 people running for the state house. We're trying to break a supermajority that the Republicans have, so we need to win about 8 seats to break that supermajority. But in order for us to gain a majority and take control of the state house in South Carolina, we got to flip about 38 seats in order to do that. 80% turnout flips those seats. I promise you, 80% turnout, it flips the state legislature. And now with us controlling one of the houses and the governor's office and the constitutional offices, now there's nothing they can do to stop us from rolling back these heinous policies that they put in place that have hurt people for so long. So now what can we do? There's so much that can be done right now, and we got a little bit of time but a lot of work to do, but we can get it done. So for anyone who wants to help, um, one, you can connect directly with our state party, the South Carolina Democratic Party, at scdp.org. It's the acronym stands for South Carolina Democratic Party.org. They are fielding volunteers every single day. I was there earlier today with Nick Otten, who's the director for everything that's happened right now. They're going to have people canvassing, making phone calls, writing postcards, working events. They got literature for you. It is enough to get you going. If you don't want to work with them and you want to work specifically with a candidate, you can go to johnsonforsc.com, Johnson for South Carolina, the acronym.com. Sign up to volunteer there, and we'll get you going. We are not just organizing county by county, and we're not just organizing precinct by precinct. We're going block by block. Oh,
No, you good.
I
Keep going.
forgot. Okay. So we're going block by block. So you can work with us on the ground, knocking on doors, in the office, making phone calls in the comfort of your own home, writing postcards and letters. Or if you don't want to talk to strangers, you got a phone full of contacts. Call the people in your phone and ask them, "Are you registered to vote?" You'll be surprised how many people can't give you an immediate answer. In this day, when the Republicans are ready to purge over 100,000 of us from the voter rolls in November, ahead of this election, we got to make sure all of our documentation is right. We got to make sure our address is current it matches what's on our ID. We got to make sure we go and check and make sure our voter registration is still current and has not been deactivated or put dormant. We got to check all of this stuff out to make sure we are ready to go vote. We don't need any surprises. When we're talking about checking your voter registration, the deadline is October 3rd. If you find out on October 4th that your voter registration is flawed, you are now on the bench. So when we're talking about 70 days for game time, you actually only have about 60 days to make sure your voter registration is good. And less than that, I think it's 55 days
Okay.
to make sure your voter registration is good, right? So we got to make sure we have all that taken care of.
And they
So
can
those are
check
the
that
things you can
at
do.
SC Votes. Was it .gov?
S is Yeah, scvotes.gov and go under voter, the voter tab, scroll down to voter registration, click on that, and it'll ask you for your last name, your last four, your date of birth, and it'll pull up your voter registration. It'll tell you your status. It'll let you know what offices you can vote for, where to go vote, your early voting location, everything you need in order to verify where to go vote is on there. And then if you have any problems whatsoever, the ACLU has a site that is set up just for your voting rights and voter protection. The website for that is the same as the phone number for them. It is 866-OUR-VOTE.org. 866-OUR-VOTE.org. You can call them or you can go to the website. If you're having problems with your voter registration or you're having problems voting, they're lawyers, team of lawyers based in South Carolina will come and help you and fight for you to make sure that you're on the ballot and you're able to cast your ballot. Again, the ACLU's website is 866-OUR-VOTE.org. And they got all the resources there to help.
So, Brandon, let me ask you. There is a federal law that bans purges 45 days before an election.
Mhm.
Am I correct?
Yep.
So, what does this regime give a damn about a law? Not a damn thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But do you? So aren't we? No, I guess we're not inside that 45-day period yet.
No.
So
I And it's been initiated prior to the deadline. So the process has already started outside of the 45-day window.
and is that states? What does that look like? Can Orange Hitler? I guess he could. He could call governors, and then they could order some type of purge. What would that look like?
So that would be a complete constitutional violation at that point.
Okay.
If the states have not already initiated, and I can verify this with ACLU, if they have not already initiated their purging process, meaning they've sent notification to the voter for a reply, they've made every reasonable effort to connect with that voter, to get that voter to update their voter registration or respond to their activity request, then they can go through the process to make them dormant, then to remove them from the rolls. If that process happened, you know, today, you know, they wouldn't have enough time. The amount of time to adequately try to reach them would take long. What we have time to do. So if they initiated it right now today and started purging folks, that'll be a constitutional violation. The issue is that now we would have to take them to court to fight to get these folks back on the ballot. What Trump has been doing this entire term is I'm going to break the law and I'm going to make you take me to court.
Yes, I
And
was
then
just
we're going
going
to
there.
see
Yes, yes.
we're going to see what the courts do, right? So
So
that
to
another
to get
reason.
around that, I'm just
Mhm.
pausing, or just I wanted to get in on that point. So to get around that, the bottom line is that we need to do basically check our voter registration status like
Yes.
on the regular.
Hmm.
And if it says that
Like you
we are
check your
not
bank account.
registered, then we immediately go through the process. I would say, like in person, go to like one of your local offices and register in person. Do you think that's good advice? What advice would you give it, those people if you found yourself being purged?
Yeah, yeah. If I found myself being purged, I would immediately, if I can't, like you said, go to the voter registration office, I would call the voter registration office
Okay.
and yeah, and make sure that it is on record, even if you call them and send an email, that you have started the process to reclaim your voter registration. You can go online. And here's the interesting thing: South Carolina is one of the easiest states in the South to register to vote and register someone else to vote. It is one of the easiest. You can go online and register. You can go to the DMV and get registered. You can go walk into any your voter registration office and register. So as long as you get it done and taken care of before October 3rd, you
Okay.
know, we have all the legal grounding necessary to make sure that you are eligible to vote in this November election.
All right. Wow. There's so much more. I'll bring you back. Um, I'm glad you gave me that 25% number. That even though with all the excitement and with the turnout that we saw, and actually that more African Americans turned out than any other racial group, still that was still pretty anemic. That we got to do.
Yeah.
And you've given us the magic number, 60%. 60% here in South Carolina was the turnout for African Americans. So now did Barack didn't win the state, did he?
He did not win the
Yeah,
state. No,
yeah. Even
no.
even with that turnout, he still
Yeah,
didn't win. So that's a tell right there.
yeah.
That
But it was the closest for the presidential year it had ever been. And see, this is what I keep explaining to people. In that president, most everybody is turning out at the same rate. Everybody is at that 70% turnout rate in the presidential year. In the midterm election, everybody is at that 50% turnout rate.
yeah.
So if we let the Republicans stay in their 50 to 60 range and we hit that 70, that 80% range, it's a clean sweep.
So I don't know. Listen, let's have this conversation on a regular,
Yes, sir.
because we can do it, guys.
We
And
can.
I'm stressing you showing up for yourselves. You're showing up for your grandmother, your grandfather. You're showing up for Miss Maybell.
Maybell, yeah.
We're showing up for the Miss Maybells in our family, or your grandfather, or yourself, or your sister, or your aunt, or your niece, or your nephew. All right. If gas is too damn high, and the groceries is too damn high, and the rent's too damn high, and the interest rate to try to buy, and if you've already, and because what's about to happen, and Brandon will confirm this. So after November, come probably right around January, even more folks who were kicked off of the Affordable Care Act because they couldn't afford the premiums, even more, and even more people are going to be kicked off of SNAP. All right,
Yeah.
it's already real, but you hadn't seen anything yet, and we can do something about this. So this should be, I mean, red, like red hurricane flags and sirens and lights got to be going off, guys, because it's a simple choice. Throw these labels out: Democrat, Republican, uh, Democrat, socialists, and communists. These people are trying to scare you. Because if anybody's practicing communism, this regime is practicing communism, taking over the media, because they, in essence, taken over the corporate media. They're already getting involved in different corporations, talking about, well, the government now is. So I could go on, and Brandon, we could have that conversation on another
Yeah.
day.
And you just said something that made me think, you know, we're not preparing for a tornado that can just touch down out of nowhere. We're preparing for a hurricane that we see that just came off the coast of Africa. And we
Yeah.
got time to prepare for it.
Come on,
And
guys.
if we're stuck exactly where we are when this hurricane shows up, we have no one to blame for the damage but ourselves. Because we got time to prepare ourselves for action, and we got to take every moment seriously, and we cannot wait for the last minute. That's why we're saying election day for our community is October 19th. I don't care what the calendars say, I don't care what the news says. If you show up at 7 a.m. on November 3rd, you are already tardy to the
That's
party.
that
we
that's that
we
late
gotta,
bell. I love it.
yes,
We all
in
know what that
Rendon.
late bell sounds like. Yes, I can. Listen. So I couldn't say this. So look, I'm thanking you, but I want to say this. I'm gonna close by saying this, and I'm gonna give you the last word. This is for everybody to please understand this. Even to some of you MAGA cult members that hate watch. But now I see more and more you all of a sudden you are waking up all of a sudden. The trance is lifting. You are stepping out of the cult, and you know why? Because you lost your health insurance, or you had and oh, that's right, your Orange Lord and Savior just an executive order about a week or so ago. So now the savings that a lot of the elderly and seniors got with their medicine, throwing that out the window now. So now your insulin is going, the price of your insulin is going up, the price of your cholesterol medicine is going up, the price of your medicine for your heart condition, all of that, your medicine for your diabetes, everything, all of it is going up. So if you can't afford groceries, you can't afford gas, you can't afford housing, you got kids or grandkids is still in the house because they can't afford to get a job to even they can't even find a job that will pay enough if they work 60 hours a week to pay the rent for an apartment. And that's real. So this is touching you. If you lost SNAP benefits, if you lost somebody in your family, if you got a letter from the government and your SNAP benefits have been reduced, your Medicare benefits, Medicaid benefits, all that, they're coming after Social Security. And where's that money going for? We spent $100 billion on a war that your boy wants to tap out. But in the meantime, these billionaires are wealthier. Well, the stock market is doing great. 20%, no, I think the number is 10% of those at the very top of the stock market control 80 to 80 plus percent of all the wealth in the stock market.
Yeah.
So the money is going to these billionaires. They don't give a shit about you. Yes, MAGA cult members. Is it clear now? I told you this whole social scientists call it a construct. Race, it was made up. It's a con. It was created to distract you and to get you to be pissed off at people that look like me and Brandon, that in no way have we don't control institutions, industries, not in this country. We don't set policy that takes your rights and your resources away. And these people your whiteness will not reduce the price of your gas, the price of your energy bill, your light bill sky high. Your whiteness won't help you with that. Your whiteness won't help you when you have to go to the doctor, or you have to go to urgent care or the emergency room. You don't get a discount. You won't get a MAGA whiteness discount. They don't care about you. They don't care about any of us. And they just want to pit us against each other. So everybody needs to wake up. Because, listen, these folks have made it clear. As my mother would say when she got pissed off, you just going to give me your ass to kiss. They are giving America is ass to kiss. They don't care. So we can change this. But we, part of the African diaspora and black folks in America, or black immigrants in America, because we need to just cut that nonsense out, okay? Because trust me, if ICE pull up on somebody to look like Brandon and I, or black immigrant, they ain't gonna say which one of you all were foundational black and born in America and which one of you. They don't care. They see the melanin, and we are all illegal to them. So understand that. Understand that this regime only, and they've made, Brandon, I don't know what else to say, how clear they have shown you with policies, with behavior, with everything they've done. Is like, listen, if you're not a billionaire, we don't care about you. All right? And we don't care about your social programs, and we're going to take all the money from these social programs and give it to the billionaires. And good luck. It's just that clear. So that's why everybody needs to show up. But we as black Americans, and we as black people, African people in this country, be it foundational, throw these labels out, foundational black or immigrant, none of that, trust me. If one of them racist ICE agents pull up on you, it won't matter. Foundational, unfoundational, immigrant, won't give a damn. All right? So we got to stop self-segregating and dividing ourselves. It's a simple choice. It's beyond policy, Brandon, as far as I'm concerned. I'm closing. Either we lean into humanity or inhumanity. We lean into humanity or hate. And we see this hurricane of hatred, of inhumanity coming, like Brandon said. So we have to do something about it. Okay? If it's not clear now, Stevie Wonder can see this coming. So I give you the last word, Brandon, and thank you for coming on. Let everybody know where they can follow you on social media. And just like I said, we'll leave you with the last word. Anything that you want to share with the viewers, you got the floor.
Yeah. So the first thing I want to do is share with folks, when you go to vote in South Carolina, when what buttons you push in that voting booth is between you and God. There is nobody when you leave there who's going to know who you voted for. In our state, it's illegal to even take a picture of your ballot after you cast your votes. It's called a secret ballot for a reason. So you can go and vote, and your neighbors don't have to know about it. You can go and vote, and your husband or your wife or your parents don't have to know who you voted for. This election here is literally about your future and your children's future. If you're hurting today, if you have lost something, your SNAP benefits, your medical insurance, your grant that you got approved for from the federal government that made your job possible, and now you're jobless for the last 6 months.
Your student loan got reversed after they forgave it.
And here's the thing. There is not one Democrat in office today that you can blame. When Trump's regime controls the White House, the U.S. Senate, the House of Representatives, the majority on the Supreme Court, then we come to South Carolina, and for the last 23 years, solid, they've controlled the governor's mansion. Now they have a supermajority in the House and the Senate. That means that supermajority Democrats have no power or control over policy whatsoever. There is not one Democrat serving in office today that you can blame for the pain that you are in. At this point in time, y'all, it is our fault if we allow this pain to spread, because we have an opportunity in November to vote for our future, and vote understanding that no one will be able to tell who you voted for. They can only see the result on November 4th. And if you want something better, we have better options on the ballot. That is Jermaine Johnson for governor, Jason Belton for Secretary of State, Sylvia Wright for Superintendent of Education, Vincent Coe for Treasurer, Tiffany Boozer for Comptroller General. We also have Richard Rissick for Attorney General, and we have Deshaun Blanding for Commissioner of Agriculture. And the list goes on. You will not go in your ballot box and see uncontested races this cycle. You have a choice up and down the ballot. It is up to you. You feel the pain. Now it's time to do something about it. So, Brother Gino, I don't know how else to plainly say it to our brothers and sisters out there, but we literally have a choice. We can choose to keep the spur in our foot, or we can choose to reach down and pull it out. And it's literally up to us. For my socials, is Brandon Upson across everything. So if you search Brandon Upson, you'll find me online. Even my website is brandonupson.com. So folks can find me. Hey, and this election, I believe that we're going to, if we do it the right way, we'll take the money out of politics and put it back in our pockets where it belongs. Because your tax dollars, our hard earned dollars and money should be working for us more than it's working for them.
That's a mic drop, everybody. Hey, listen. On that note, all I can say is thank you. Listen, I told you that you will be a regular. You'll be a return, not even a guest. You're now like you're a co-host. You're like Rachel Maddow. You like the brother version of Rachel Maddow. Like she come on like once a week. So I probably won't be able to get him once a week because he's so busy. But it definitely, at least once a month and hopefully a couple times, especially as we get closer, because we can't beat this drum enough. We can't reinforce it enough that and now, for some folks, the pain may have been in theoretical, but it ain't theory now. You feel it. You felt it when you tried to fill up your tank. Sometimes you can't even fill up the whole tank. You can just let me just fill up half the tank and stretch that and drive less until I can get enough money to fill up. A lot of people can't even afford to fill up their tank fully.
Mm-hmm.
They can't afford to think about that. They don't even have enough money to fill up their tank. They have enough money. Well, let me just fill it up halfway and just try to stretch until payday, and then I'll fill it up. It's real. Jason said the pain is real, guys, but we can stop the pain. What is it? I'm thinking about, there's a song, Lisa Fisher, who was one of Luther Vandross's legendary background singers, had a ballad came out in there, I think early 90s. How can I ease the pain?
Oh, how can I ease the pain?
How can I ease the pain? Well, you can ease, it's real simple. October 19th, you can ease the pain. You can get rid of the pain. Hell, don't forget easing the pain. You can eliminate the pain. You can get rid of the pain. October 19th. Brother Brandon, thank you, man. I know we will see you soon, and thank you for that. I didn't get a chance to cover this because I didn't want to keep you. I've already kept you probably way past, but I want us to have an idea, maybe a plan. Like I always like to have a best case and worst case scenario plan, because I think as we get closer to the election, this regime in Orange Hitler is really going to panic and really going to try, especially now with his lackey and bootlicker and buttlicker, Todd Blanche, as Attorney General, and he's got other people in place. They're going to try to play all kind of games to somehow delay or somehow affect, they try to snatch some ballots. I know certain states are taking precautions about that. So I want to have that conversation. I'm producing the show in real time. Maybe that'll be the main theme for our next conversation. What, if that worst case scenario happens, what does it look like? Do we like say, okay, if we're doing this, ain't nobody going to work. Everybody that can't, some folks are going to have to go to work, but folks, we can definitely shut this economy down and stop shopping.
Yep.
Because they're enough. All the billionaires are not in tech, and there are enough billionaires that get their money off retail to where folks stop spending money, especially, we're talking about election day is October 19th. The late date, the late bail is on November 3rd. Election day ends Right after
Mhm.
that, you got the whole Thanksgiving, Black Friday, shopping, Christmas.
Yeah.
All right, and trust me, folks, not trying to have their money messed with. So
That's the one thing they care about.
yep. So if it comes down to that, we have got to be prepared and stand 10 toes down on business and say, hey, listen, it's gonna be a different. We're gonna do stuff differently. So don't be in your feelings because it's really, we are literally fighting for our life. Thank you, Brandon Upton. Thank you, brother. We'll talk soon, man. Great.
Thank you, brother
Great
Geno,
conversation. A great perspective. Thank you for that information, guys. Listen, 60% of you all showed up for Barack. I know 70. I don't even want to say 60. Damn. 7, but at least 60% gotta be able to show up for yourself. You can show up, and that's no shade to Barack. Come on, guys. Man, you showing up for Miss Maybell. You got somebody in your family, like you got a grandmother, you got a mother like that. You got to come on. All right, Brandon, thank you, brother. I get passionate about this stuff. I'm gonna beat this drum like Sheila E. when she was Prince's drummer. I'm gonna beat the hell out of this drum. Thank you, man. Great conversation. I appreciate you.
Likewise.
All right.
I'll talk to you soon.
All right, man. I love this brother. He's brilliant. Appreciate him coming on. Hey, everybody, thank you for watching. I just need to click a button real quick. We'll see you Tuesday. Oh, wait, hold on. Wait a minute. Programming note. Maybe the best of the Geno Jones show on Tuesday. Definitively, the next live show definitively is going to be Wednesday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. If you see me tomorrow, then you'll see me tomorrow. But definitively, the next live show is going to be Wednesday, 7:30. Like everybody right now. Click on that thumbs up button right now for brother. Click the share button. So click on the thumbs up. Click on the share button. Copy and paste the link. Text it in a text message, in the email. Text it. Copy and paste it everywhere. And tell everybody to subscribe to the Geno Jones Show YouTube channel. Shout out to Allie Jones, the official she is the official wardrobe and stylist, wardrobe consultant and stylist for the show. Check her out and her Lexi Jones collection out on Instagram, lx.ncl_lx.ncl. That's lx.ncl_. Please, your support, your financial support is so important. It is needed. Our Black-owned media, we need your support. We got to look out for each other, everybody. We're all we got, but we're all we need, and we got everything we need when we come together. We are our brother and sister's keeper, so you can support the show financially via Zelle or Cash App. No amount is too small or too large, so you can use Zelle, Geno Jones Show at Gmail, Geno Jones Show at gmail.com. That is my Zelle address. So if you want to support the show financially via Zelle, use my email address, GenoJonesShow at Gmail. Now, Cash App, $Dad G Jones, capital D, lowercase AD, capital G, capital J, lowercase ONES, $Dad G Jones. If you'd like to be a sponsor of the Geno Jones Show, I'd love to have you as a sponsor, or you want to run your ads, campaign ads, or any TV video ads, Geno Jones Show at Gmail. We'll see you definitively Wednesday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 6:30 p.m. Central Time, 4:30 p.m. on the West Coast, 4:30 p.m. on the West Coast. I love you. Real love, it is a verb, not a noun. It's a verb. It's an action word. Show somebody you love them. I'll holler.
Subscribe and tune in to the next episode of the Geno Jones Show, exclusively right here on YouTube.